Hi everybody, just a quick update from me. Still no running, my leg's still playing up. If you saw my previous videos, you'll know that since my marathon exactly a month ago, I've had some strange sort of ankle and calf pains. Hard to put my finger on it. My ankle feels weak, my calf twinges a little bit, my leg throbs in the night if I do run, and I've managed 2 or 3 shortish runs. If I do run, then for the rest of that evening, all the following day, my leg is throbbing. So I've realised I've just got to jack it in for a couple of weeks, stay on the bike as I have been doing, and get out walking with this little fella. Come on. So yeah, in the UK here we've just started lockdown number 3 from the 6th of January until at least the middle of February. It is a full lockdown, so no unnecessary travel, only leave the home if you absolutely have to, basically for essential supplies, or to go to work if you can't work from home. You can meet one other person, but only locally. Basically no unnecessary travel at all. So at least 6 weeks, but it has been rumoured it may be up to 2 months, maybe 3. So full lockdown. Any races obviously cancelled. So full lockdown, no races. So my February half marathon has been cancelled. My April marathon is still currently going ahead, and it's still 4 months away, so I don't need to lose hope about that just yet. You know, if I can get this ankle issue resolved within a couple of weeks and I can keep cycling, then I shouldn't really lose too much fitness. But I think I'm looking more at October and potentially Manchester Marathon. The vaccines are being rolled out at the moment, so I think by the middle of the year, maybe autumn, races can certainly start to go ahead, all going well. We have to hang on to these hopes, don't we? So, you know, not running at the moment, it's not a major issue. There's worse things going on in the world, isn't there, than not being able to run. I'm resisting cycling as well today because my leg is quite sore. I'm struggling to walk without little bits of pain, so I'm getting some exercise because it's nice to do something every day. Getting some exercise, but I'll probably leave the cycling until tomorrow. And I shouldn't feel guilty. You know, I do feel guilty about not doing anything. You look on something like Strava and everyone's out cycling and running, walking. And I know I do. If I haven't done anything for a day, I do start to feel guilty about it, and I mustn't do, because it's a tough time, isn't it? We don't need to feel bad for not going out. You know, it's a bit of an addiction to me and many others, this running and cycling. But in the grand scheme of things, we can survive a few days without it. You know, injury is a nightmare for a running addict. Injury is a nightmare. But, you know, it's a time to do other things. We're locked down. We can't do a lot of things, so it's time to focus on what we can do. So, you know, I've dug out my Daniel's Running Formula to read again. It's my favourite running book, and I read it from time to time. Been talking a lot about it just recently with friends and with people I coach. You know, the running paces involved, how it calculates your running paces, and what you can get out of sticking to a Daniel's running plan. If you haven't read it, I really would recommend it. If you're a runner wanting to improve, I would absolutely recommend it. So the book's written by Dr. Jack Daniels, who I met a couple of years ago when he came over to the UK from the States to do a training day. A whole load of coaches, I think, clubbed together to bring him over to do a couple of training days, and I was lucky enough to see it advertised in enough time to get myself booked on, and it was a fabulous day. But Jack Daniels has been a running coach since I think the 60s, and his book documents his early years and some amazing stories of how he'd be driving around on a track next to his runners. They'd be hooked up to sort of oxygen measuring machines that were in the car and then connected by pipe to the runner on the track, and he'd be driving alongside them, taking, you know, samples of breathing rates and this sort of stuff. But he's been coaching ever since, and he has these formulas for calculating your training paces. So I mean, there's an app for it now as well as a book, but it's really useful to read the book. Just using the app, you don't get the full explanation of why and what these paces give you, because it gives you interval paces, rep paces, easy, threshold, steady paces, and it does actually go through and give you whole training plans as well. But the idea is you look up you do a race hard as you can, whatever distance, you look up in the tables or you input it into the app now, and that calculates your training paces if you want to improve. And it tells you how to structure your training, and obviously it goes into detail of how, you know, 80% of your miles you want to be doing easy and steady miles. And a lot of people have a look at these paces and they're like, I can't run that slowly, because, you know, a lot of runners like to run their comfortable, steady sort of zone 3 pace, which in training terms isn't really particularly good. It's sort of stuck in the middle land where you're not benefiting from the aerobic training, and you're also pushing yourself too hard for that, but you're also not probably pushing yourself hard enough to get the improvement in your threshold paces. So this Daniels running formula breaks it all down and tells you how to structure your training. So with the Daniels running formula, I've neglected the book more recently and just used the app, because you can just tap in your race times and it calculates your training paces really easily. So what I did was I did a 5k in the early part of my training. I think it was something like 20 minutes and 30 seconds. And from that, you get a rough idea of marathon and half marathon paces. But there's obviously a big difference in distance, so it's good to increase the race distance. And further along my training, I did a half marathon, 1:30, 1:31 I think, which gave me my threshold pace of 6:50 and my marathon pace of 7:22. Although I didn't really believe that, if I'm honest. I felt like if I'd done a half marathon at 7-minute miles, then a full marathon at 7:22 was ridiculous. And to be honest, I didn't fully embrace it. I didn't fully trust it. So yeah, I didn't fully feel that this 7:22 marathon pace was possible. My easy pace started about 8:30 or so, 8:30 minute miling, and slower than that. And my marathon pace 7:22, and I thought, there's no way I can do that. I mean, that's barely slower than my half marathon pace. So I did make some minor adjustments. I did feel that 7:40, maybe 7:30 was more possible. You know, my previous marathon was 7:55 pace. My best 20-mile race time was 7:35, so the thought of doing a marathon at 7:22 was crazy. So I did a lot of my long marathon pace training at about 7:35 down to 7:25. You know, I did some blocks of 4 by 16 minutes marathon pace. Then I did a block of 5-mile marathon pace and 2 blocks of 5 miles marathon pace, and I tried to keep those about the 7:35 and bring them through to 7:25. So I wasn't a million miles away, but enough to make me feel comfortable. And then if you saw my previous video, I went through the splits, and it's amazing how all those big weeks of sort of 55-mile weeks, they give you so much fatigue in your legs that you don't feel that pace is reachable on the day. But when you have a good block of training, lots of easy miles, but then a decent 2-week taper, all that freshness comes back, and suddenly that marathon pace is doable. On the day I did 7:22, give or take a second or two, for 20 miles, and I couldn't believe it, and I felt amazing. And you know, yeah, I lost just less than 2 minutes in the last 10k, but that brought my average down to 7:28 overall, which is roughly what I've been doing my marathon miles at. So I know for next time I will probably slow my easy stuff down, because I was doing it between 8 and 8:30 miling, and I think I should do that slower. And I will trust the marathon pace from Daniels more religiously. And to be honest, I can't wait I can't wait to get back to that training once this leg sorts itself out. But I just thought I'd mention that. If you're wanting a training bible for a marathon, get the Daniels running formula. It's incredible. One thing I should just add about the Daniels running formula paces and training, I think it's really important to do all of the training, and for all of your training to follow the Daniels running plans. So you can't just do the marathon pace all the time and expect to run a good marathon. You can't just do the threshold stuff, you know, and everything else a few seconds a mile slower. You have to embrace the whole process, which is something I love doing anyway. So you calculate your target times for 1 minute reps, or 2 or 3 minute reps, and those are the paces you go for. You calculate your threshold paces, and that's what you do for your 5 or 6 or 8 minute threshold sets. You know, you have your easy pace, and that's what I do my easy runs to. So it seems slow to a lot of people, and if I'm on an easy run and I come to a steep hill, I'll walk up it, because it's all about heart rate zones. And that easy run, I don't need to be getting up into a high zone heart rate for a hill in my mind. So if I come to a hill, I'm walking up it, and I embrace the whole process, and that's why I think I got such a good result from it last time. So the process is massively important if you follow the whole thing. But hey, watch this dog get muddy. Anyway, that's enough about Daniels running formula for me. Daniels running training, I absolutely love it. And if you're stuck at a place in your running where you're not getting any quicker, you might give it a try. But you know, if you've got any thoughts or comments or suggestions, if you do training to a different book or follow different structured training plans, drop a note in the comments. Let's have a chat about it. But anyway, I'll see you on the next video. Hope all's well with you. See you later. Bye.